Hey, it's Willie Crawford here, and I am coming at you live from Niceville, Florida. Today, we're continuing with part 2 of a Facebook Live I started yesterday, which covers the ugly truth about product launches. And yesterday, I started out and actually spent about 40 minutes telling you some of the things that are known but are seldom discussed openly about product launches. And today I'm going to continue that discussion. I do want to give people a chance to join us. No one's had a chance to join us yet because I just went live. And I don't anticipate going too long today because I have a lot of things on my weekend schedule to include a number of gatherings. Uh, People over at my house, people at other people's houses, and so it's going to be a busy weekend for my family, and at the same time, it'll be a joyous weekend because if you can't spend time with family and friends, then what's the purpose in putting in a lot of work? So anyway, I'm going to give people a few more minutes or a couple minutes to join us. I've again just gone live. Then I'm going to jump right in and start talking about the secret to pulling off a wildly successful product launch. But we're going to look at why many potential joint venture partners that you'll approach and ask to promote your product launch will say no, or even worse, they won't say anything, so you don't know whether they even saw your message. If you post it on Facebook or send them an email or whatever, you can people even send direct mail pieces. But if you don't get a response back from someone, you don't know whether or not they're ignoring you or whether or not they don't want to say no because people don't like saying no. So rather than saying no, they don't give you an answer at all. They're just silent. To me, that's worse. To me, I equate that with a no. Uh, I, Not everyone does, but I do. So I am not seeing a lot of people join us yet. I do feel I should probably go ahead and get started. There they are. There they are. I see Jeff McCullough has just joined, Joel Orlando, and Michael Neal has just joined. And Joel says, "Good morning, Mr. Crawford." Um, so today, what I am doing is I'm continuing the series I started yesterday, which is looking at the ugly truth about product launches, and I call it part 2. And so today we're going to take an honest look at why many potential joint venture partners say no or don't respond at all to your JV request. That's one thing. And to me, when I ask someone for something and they don't respond, my first thing is I wonder if they even saw my request. But more often than not, I take that as a no because people don't like saying no. They feel uncomfortable. They like to, a lot of us are people pleasers. And so we feel an obligation to say yes. Uh, and I see Brianna's joined us, who's my nephew's wife, and Alan Stacy's joined us. So I appreciate you guys joining us. What we're looking at is um, if you're around starting a business on the internet for any amount of time, you're told one of the things you need to do is to launch your own product. And so you come up with an idea. What can I sell? And then you reach out to other people and ask them, hey, can you help me to sell this product? We call those joint ventures, but what you're really doing is forming an affiliate relationship where you pay people a percentage commission to tell others about your product. And the problem is uh, the vast majority of people actually that I've witnessed over the past 23 years doing product launches, and some of those people I work directly with, some of those people I was privy to behind the scenes, what was going on. Uh, a lot of them had massive failures. And so I want to look at that today. I don't want to be negative. I just want to look at why the product launches fail. Okay. And I see that one of my cousins, Naisha's joined us, and I see Peter Jones has joined us. So good to have you guys. And Rita Ann Evans, another good friend, Alan Stacy. Good, good, good. Okay, one of the things, the first thing I want to throw out there is a lot of deals are made when people get together at different places. And so when you come along and you reach out to someone and say, hey, I'm doing a product launch next month or next week, can you promote my product? The people that you're asking often have locked in and committed to promoting other products, sometimes months in advance. I personally, over the past 10 years, I've probably been on about a dozen cruises. And on these dozen cruises, the majority of the cruises I went on were the marketers cruise, which my friend Mike Philsame organizes. Those cruises, we have up to like 450 people who are all somehow related to internet marketing. And on the ship, almost all the cruises go through to the Eastern or Western Caribbean. They usually go out in January, early January. And so while the majority of Americans are experiencing ice storms and are miserable, we are out in the Caribbean sailing from island to island to island and hanging out and snorkeling and zip lining. But more importantly, we're getting to know the other cruisers. Okay? And on the Marketers Cruise, every night around midnight, we had what we called it Pizza and Profits. And Pizza and Profits was where a bunch of marketers got together up on what was called the Lido deck, which is at the aft end of the ship. And there was a pizza parlor there. It's open, I think it's 24/7. But you'd have 20 to 30 marketers who all got together and they sat around. Sometimes somebody would bring some beer. People would go over to the little pizza parlor where on these cruise ships, almost all the food is included in the price of the cruise. So there's places all over the ship where 24/7 you can go get food, and that's why people gain so much weight on cruises. And there also are places that will deliver food to your room. Even your cabin attendants will bring food to your room. You just call room service, say, hey, I want this or that. And they expect to be tipped, but you don't tip the people during the cruise. What you do is you tip them as you leave the ship, basically. So you don't need any money for the most part. You have a card that you use on the ship to charge certain things, but almost everything's included in the price of the cruise. But what happens is, okay, all these guys and girls, they get together around midnight and they sit around talking and they show each other what they're working on. And one might say, hey, I've got a product launch coming up 3 months from now, and here's my product. And, I can give you access to the product as soon as you want it. And you can look at it and you can see if it's a match for your list. Can I count on you? And the important thing there is because you're face to face, you can read the other person's body language. You get a feel for what the other person's like. They're showing you pictures of their pets and their kids, and and you just get to read people. You get to read their body language. Okay, so by the time that those people get back home, a lot of them have already committed months in advance to promoting other people's product launches. Okay, now a lot of us, when somebody's, maybe I don't drink right now, but most people, when they're sitting around at a bar or whatever, and they say, hey, can I count on you to promote this? And you say yes. The person saying yes usually considers that what's called a shy yes. It means, all things being equal, I'll give you my yes, but I don't really take that as a yes. But person who's hearing the yes does take that as yes. And if you play the game right, you come back to them later and you basically imply that, you got a firm yes from them. And so that's what happens. And it not only happens on cruises, it happens at seminars and conferences and all kinds of networking events. I right now know of a networking event that's happening in Spain that I was invited to. There's another one happening in England that I was invited to. And there's another one that I am going to the end of the month that's in New York City. And all of these events are places where you can get together with other people that are like-minded. You can look them in the eye and you can say, hey, this is what I have going on in my business or in my life. And you can say, can I count on you to help me to promote this when the time comes. And they're either going to say yes or no. I see my cousin Tony join. Tony's a truck driver, among other things, but he's an entrepreneur. And I saw him at a family reunion back in July. It's good to see you, Tony. Uh, so what happens though is you have two dynamics going on here. One is I want to say why potential business partners, they either say no to you or they don't respond to you at all when you reach out to them and say, hey, can you promote my product? One of the reasons is, as I just pointed out, they already have commitments. They've already said yes to somebody else months in advance sometimes. So when you come at them 2 weeks prior to launch or whatever, uh, they, they don't like to say no, so they don't answer you a lot of times, okay? Uh, Another thing that goes on behind the scenes, there's a lot of people, uh, they have product launches themselves, and so they often don't directly say, well, I'll promote your product if you promote mine, all things being equal, but they expect reciprocity, okay? So a lot of people only promote others in their little clique, in their inner circle, and they expect those people, whether they agree to do it or not, to promote them back, okay? Uh, and so that's understood, even though it's not typically spoken or in writing or whatever. And so that makes a big difference, okay? Another reason that they may not promote you is they look at your website, your sales page and all that, your material, the email, maybe sample emails you give them, and they read this stuff and they think, I'm reading your web page and I don't believe what the promises your web page is making. I don't believe, and if I don't believe what your web page is saying, I know my customers, I know their mindset. I know they're going to read your page and say, I don't believe this. You're lying. You're making up things. This can't be true. So if I look at your page and I say to myself, my customers aren't going to buy that, then I may or may not tell you no directly. But I'm not going to promote something if I know it's going to be a waste of time. Okay. But a lot of people won't tell you that. Okay. Another thing is the person that you're approaching simply may not like you. People help their friends and they help people they know, like, and trust. And so if something about you personally makes them not know, like, or trust you, they probably won't tell you that. They won't hurt your feeling, but they will not promote you. So, and that's real. That's a real factor. So I mentioned again, sitting on a cruise ship. If I'm sitting there and I'm looking at you and you won't even make eye contact with me, or I ask you a question about something and you're sort of squirming in your seat and you're giving me an indirect answer, that causes me not to trust you. Okay, I may like you, and if I try to get to know you a little better, and you sort of guarded, then I'm probably not going to have business dealings with you. Okay, now people come from different cultures where we have different habits. For example, in some cultures, it's considered rude to look a person right in the eye. I mean, it's they just don't do that in that country. In other places, they don't. They aren't as touchy feely. And so you have to take into account who you're dealing with and what's the norm for their culture, if you know that. But it's really all about taking the time and effort to actually get to know the person before you ask them for help. I've had people over and over and over again, and I've been in business online for 22 years now. I've been to a lot of seminars and conferences. I work with a lot of people. They want you to not wait till the last minute to come to them and say, hey, I've got this product launch, and can I count on you to help me with it next week? And then a lot of times they come at it all wrong. They come to you and they say, I'll pay you this percentage commission, and here's what the product is, and your customers are going to like it. Well, a lot of the time when people say your customers are really going to like it, I think to myself, you don't know my customers, because if you know my customers, if you read my newsletter, for example, you know how I typically interact with my customers, who my customers are, what my customers want from me. I know that, and I'm not going to go at them with something that they're totally uninterested in, because it's just going to turn them off and drive them away. And so you need to take time in advance to look at who you're approaching, who you plan on approaching, And you have to ask yourself, so who is this person's customer, his or her ideal customer? If you're, say, rolling out a diet product, okay, who is this person? And you need to approach that from two different angles. One is uh, a lot of people don't take time to even narrow down who the product is really ideal for. So they target the wrong market. And so if you were coming at somebody with a diet product, then you want to approach people who have your ideal customer. So who is your ideal customer? You could say, well, it's a diet product, and the majority of people in the Western world in particular are overweight. And so everybody needs my product. Well, no, not everybody needs your product. Not only that, you have to talk to them in their language. Okay. So if you're approaching, if your products, you have to come up with what we call the ideal customer avatar. Is it women who put on weight while they were pregnant, so they need to lose a little weight because they gained it during a pregnancy? Is it older men or whose metabolism slowed down and their body chemistry has changed? You would approach those people differently. Is it people in their 20s or 30s? Who is it that you're approaching? You can't approach all people, okay? Now, I've seen product launches struggle, and I've seen them fail because the person failed to identify who they should be targeting. I'll give you an example. Many of you who are in the internet marketing space will know Onyx Singal, or you'll know the name. Onyx making millions, and he's very successful. When I first met Onyx, he was at a seminar where he was struggling. He had this uh, college prep course he was selling that helped students to get into college, helped them to get better grades, and all those things like that. And his targeting was all wrong because Onyx was advertising and he was going to places at people, but he was promoting to the students. Uh, the students weren't his real customers. His real customers were the parents of the students, because it's the parents that want their kids to get into college, want them to get good grades, want them to get out of the house so they're not dependent on them for the rest of their lives for support and all those things. So the students whom the test prep and all that would help, yeah, that they were uh, the end user, but it wasn't the student that Onyx needed to target. He needed to target the parents. He needed to get his message in front of the parents. And so once he figured that out, uh, he changed his targeting, and that product did okay. It didn't do exceptionally well because he still had to figure out a lot of things. And now he has this huge network of people that he sells other products to, but they're mostly online marketers. And again, he's doing millions every year and making movies and giving away cars and all kinds of things. Okay. And I see Chuck Burks join us, Anthony Jones, and Gene Gaylord has joined us. So I appreciate all you guys joining us. And what I'm talking about is mistakes that people make when they do product launches that basically cause them to fail. Uh, One of the biggest mistakes that I've already touched on is not allowing enough lead time. Um, I have been a joint venture broker where my job is to go out and recruit partners to promote somebody else's product. And some of those people want a month or two or three advance notice. They want to flow it out in their calendar. Like I promoted products where I was out on a cruise and I'm sending emails promoting this product launch. So what I had to do was write my emails, sometimes weeks or a month or more in advance, load my emails up and schedule them to go out while I was on the ship, because on the ship, cruise ships do tend to charge extra if you need to connect via satellite to the internet while you're on the ship. Some places that they have special rates, but a lot of cruise ships, that's one of their profit centers. And so, you might pay $2 or $3 a minute, the cruise ship to go through the ship system and connect via satellite to the regular internet. There's a intranet on the ship that you can use that lets you connect to other people on the ship and things like that. But outside the ship, when you're out in the middle of the ocean, you may pay a lot for that. So I if I agreed to promote your product and your product launch was going on while I'm going to be on a cruise or someplace where I have a hard time connecting to the internet, I'm going to keep my messages up early. And so I need to plan early. And so you can't wait till the last minute to come to me and say, can you help me with the product? Okay? Product launch. I've seen a lot of products that were priced improperly. Now, when you're looking at rolling out a product, no matter what it is, and I prefer actually more expensive products, uh, you have to, price is not the biggest objection that people have to buying your product. So you can get that out of your mind. If people are convinced when they read about your product, it's going to solve a very real problem for them, something that's painful, something that they know if they don't do anything about it, that problem's not going to go away, then price is not their main objection. Their main objection is usually, I don't believe this product's going to work for me. And so you've got to convince them that the product's going to work for them. And the best way to do that is with social proof. You show them a testimonial or lots of testimonials from somebody who is just like them uh, in many ways, and they've gotten the results that you want. For example, maybe your market is, I'll go back to the diet example, and maybe a stewardess or a flight attendant would say, well, I'm flying all the time. I have to eat hotel meals and airline food. So, and I don't have time always to exercise properly and all that. So yeah, this diet might work for others, but it won't work for me. So that's when you've got to feature stewardesses or flight attendants that say, this thing worked for me, worked beautifully for me, Okay, now you've overcome that objection, okay? And a lot of people, they roll out a product all wrong in the first place. What you need to do, if you're going to come out with a product, first thing you need to do is confirm that it's something that people want. Far too many people come up with an idea, they fall in love with the idea, and they create the product, and then they think, okay, now who can I sell it to? That's backwards. You want to ask yourself, who are my customers? Who do I want to serve? You make money over the internet, you make money selling goods and services by identifying a very specific group of people, and you identify problems that they have that are real, painful problems, and then you identify real solutions that work to their problems, you see. And once you do that, okay, now you know who to offer your product to. You know that if you honestly can solve their problem, there's no reason for them not to buy the product, and everything just falls in place. But a lot of people do it backwards. They come up with the product, and then they struggle and often fail because they came up with something that nobody wants. When I get somebody who approaches me and say, "Hey, Willie, can you promote my product or my service?" I often point blank say, what makes you think anybody even wants that? Did you do your research? Did you look at who your potential customers are? Maybe survey them, ask them, send them an email and say, can I get you to take 5 minutes to do a survey? I want to make sure that I'm helping you with your real problems. And that this is something that you want. And when you get them to agree to take a survey and then you create what they told you they want, there's almost an obligation for them to buy it. They told you what they wanted. You created it for them. You come back and you say in your emails, and not directly, but in so many words, okay, I created what you said you wanted. And so here it is. And they're going to buy it if they're convinced that it works and it's going to solve their problem. And it has to be a real problem. It has to be a problem that they want to solve, whether it's a physical problem, like high blood pressure or something along that line, or whether it's they want to just look better, feel younger, they want more free time, they want their kids to have a different or better life than they did, they want their pets to be happy, whatever the problem is that they want to solve, you have to make sure you're meeting a real problem that they're willing to pay. And it's another thing that I've seen people do wrong is they roll their product out at the wrong time, poor timing. They release a product too close to a major holidays. They release the product too close to like something that's going to distract their ideal customer. Maybe it's close to elections. whether it's national elections or regional elections or whatever. Maybe there's a major televised event going on around that period, like the Super Bowl or the Oscars or something like that, that's going to grab people's attention, and they're just going to be focused on that. And you're going to be firing all these emails out, and they're going to be ignoring them. There was a time when American families in particular took family vacations during the summer. The kids were out of school, and so this was the ideal time to take vacations. And these people were focused on spending time with their family. They weren't interested in reading about, how to start a business or how to do certain things. And so it used to be that if you promoted to them during these time frames, you missed 90% of your audience who didn't even bother to read emails. Today, we seem to be so connected all the time with our mobile devices that, even when people are out on vacation or eating in a restaurant or whatever, they're constantly checking their email and all those things and checking Facebook. So things have changed, but still you need to be aware of what's going on in your customers' lives, and you need to make sure your timing is right. At the same time, you need to get an idea of, are there other people in your market space, excuse me, who are going to be rolling out products to the same customers that you're targeting at the same time. And to do that, again, I point to live events. Go to live events where people, as you talk to them sitting out in the hallway or after hours or whatever, you find out what they're up to, they find out what you're up to, and you can deconflict schedules to an extent. But you can also look at whether or not you want to work with this person. Again, it's all about networking. It's about building real long-term relationships. And when you do this and you approach somebody and say, hey, I've got this product or this service coming out, this piece of software or whatever, can I give you access to it early and let you look at it so that when I launch it, you can go to your customers, your audience, and say, hey, I recommend this to you. I've already looked at it. I love these features about it. Maybe even point out things you didn't like about it. And you offer maybe a bonus you created to say, it doesn't do this, or I wish it did this better. And to make up for that, I have a bonus I'm going to give you when you purchase through me, and you make up for those shortcomings. And that solves another problem, which is when a lot of people are doing product launches all at the same time, a lot of your audience members are on the same email list. And because they're on the same email list, they're getting a lot of emails about the same product launch. So what they do is what is often referred to as bonus shopping. If 20 people approach you asking you to buy the exact same product, it doesn't matter who you buy it from, for the most part, you're going to get the same thing. So then you say, well, I wonder who's offering something extra. So then you compare the bonuses, and so they bonus shop. So this is how you get around those big problems. You start networking early, and you network with the right people. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I don't see any questions or comments, although they usually show up after I've wrapped up. I am going to close with a recommendation. That recommendation is that you start networking more. And I'm going to recommend that you do some very high-level networking. The people that I hang around most are what we call internet marketers. And these are mostly people who sell information products and software aimed at other people who are in the same space and who, for the most part, want to sell information products. They want to sell audios, videos, ebooks, courses, pieces of software that other people who want to start the same type of business that they're starting sell. And that works if you go to these conferences and seminars and you meet people, especially influencers, people with large databases, people that others listen to, people that others know, like, and trust. You meet these people, they're going to go ahead and recommend your product or service to their audience, provided they know, like, and trust you, provided they are convinced you're taking care of their customers, that you're not going to burn their customers. Because if you burn their customers, sell them something that doesn't work, that doesn't improve their lives, then their customers are going to be pissed off at them, and their customers are never going to listen to them again or buy anything else from them. You destroyed their business, basically. They're not going to let you do that. They spend years and years and years building a business, okay? So you want to reach out early, sometimes a month or 2 or 3 in advance. Like my friend Jeff Walker, who rolls out a product launch formula training that's about $2,000. He does that several times a year, actually. Uh, he reaches out to potential joint venture partners 3 to 4 months in advance. And his message is keep these dates open. And then as he gets closer and closer and closer, he updates his partners. Okay, here's what's going on. Here's the plan. And he makes them feel special because they know the inside plan of what's going on, what he's going to give them as far as videos, audios, or ebooks, or whatever to share with their audience. And it's usually very high value content that he's given them to give to their audience free to show them the value, the quality of what he releases. And, so he does this way, way, way in advance, is my point there. Not all potential joint venture partners are equal. I touched on that yesterday. You've got people who have more influence than you do. We often refer to those as A-level marketers. You have people who are typically at the same level as you are. Some people refer to those maybe as B-level marketers if you consider yourself a B-level marketer. And then there's people who aren't quite as influential as you are, haven't achieved the same level of success as you are. So you could, if you want to categorize those people as C-level marketers, you want to approach each of those groups of people differently, and you want to acknowledge that probably people at a level way above you aren't going to deal with you unless they actually get to know you. It doesn't matter that you know who they are. It doesn't matter that they've even heard your name. They need to get to know you. And I personally play, it's not a game, I play that, I do that at an extremely high level. In fact, I'm going to give you a link to an event I'm going to on September 26th, 27th, and 28th in New York City, where the players are so high level that they're giving lifetime achievement awards out to people who spent a lifetime doing things. And the people that are getting these lifetime achievements are Michael Gerber, who's author of The E-Myth, Dan Kennedy, who, I don't know, for probably 20 plus years, actually more than that, probably 30 years. He's 63 now. And I've studied Dan all my business life, just about. He's being honored. And Martha Stewart, who runs a multi-million dollar, if not multi-billion dollar empire, she's being honored. She has had her own cooking show for a long time, but she has this huge lifestyle enterprise where actually her company goes out and buys up other companies. All three of those people are being honored with Lifetime Achievement Awards, and I'm being honored on the same stage, on the same night as those people with the same award. And as far as I know, I'm the only quote unquote internet marketer to ever receive that award. And part of the reason I was chosen to receive that award is I announced that I'm thinking about retiring next year and going off and doing more things that I just enjoy doing, and still want to have a decent income coming in because I like contributing to causes that I care about, things like cancer research and feeding the homeless and a lot of other causes, and you can't do that unless you have money coming in. Money, they say money can't buy happiness, but money gives you the power to change lives and to influence people. So anyway, I'm at this event on the 26th, 27th, and 28th of this month, and I'd like to invite you to go and check it out. Now, what's different about the link I gave you is when the event host approached me, because I'm an affiliate marketer, because I'm an extremely effective affiliate marketer, he approached probably a number of affiliates and said, I'll give you a percentage commission I'll tickets you sell, because they have different levels of admission. They have a general admission, then they have a VIP, and they have an elite uh, admission level. And each one gets different levels of contact with the VIPs that are there. And you can read about all that on this page. But I went back to the event host and I said, a lot of my people would look at this and say, yeah, it'd be nice to hang out with Martha Stewart and Michael Gerber and you. But a lot of them would look at that and say, I can't really afford that, even the cost of general admission. So I said to the host, I said, I don't really care about the money. I think it's more important to get my people there and rubbing elbows with people who are influencers. I mean, we have people who are in television, who are in magazines and all kinds of media. We have entertainers like Ice-T, who the last time I watched him, it was on Law and Order, where he plays a detective in the series. And I watched too much Law and Order because I was in the hospital at the time, and I couldn't do much of anything else except lay in bed. They had me hooked up all kinds of monitors, were doing all kinds of tests on me. And so I got to know Ice-T quite well. And then I see that, he is going to be there, and he's one of, and they've also got speakers, authors, coaches, entrepreneurs. They've got like 6 different categories of people who will be there, whom almost all of them or you've heard their names. People like Malcolm Gladwell, and I can't even think of half of them. They're search engine experts, and Russell Brunson's been nominated for an award. They've nominated people in different categories of awards. You could actually go to this URL I just gave you and nominate somebody yourself. And then there's a body that votes on the winners. You have to be a member of that academy or whatever it's called. But it's like the Academy Awards. They announce the winners, but these people who've been nominated, a lot of them will be in the audience. People like, you've probably heard the name Lisa Sasevich, for example. I first noticed her through Yannick Silver. But there's a lot of them there. And if you show up, which I'm encouraging you to do, if they're there in the audience or sitting out in the hallway or whatever, it's your job to go up to them, introduce yourself, and let them get to know you. Take a picture with them, shoot a short video with them, and we actually have red carpet opportunities, photo ops, where they will, have you on the red carpet, shake hands with you and things like that. There's, again, different levels of admission, and that they give you different degrees of access to these people. To include one night, there's like a midnight cruise around the New York harbor, and it's all pretty and everything, and you get to hang out with celebrities. So while I encourage you to attend any event that you can find that you can get to, this is the one I'm focusing your attention on right now, because it can take you from relative obscurity. And just imagine, so many careers were launched by Oprah. Okay, Oprah would notice a book, and on her show, she's a billionaire, she would say, I really love this book. And she'd bring the person on and she'd talk up the book. And millions of people would go out and buy the book. That person was made just by being featured on Oprah. Okay. Ariana Huffington is one of the people nominated. She owned the Huffington Post, but she sold it for billions of dollars a while back. She's been nominated for an award, I think, in the entrepreneurs category. So you never know who you're going to see there. Go check it out. Again, it's not free, but I arranged for you to get in at about a third of the regular general admission price, because I told the host I didn't care about commissions. I said I want people to get in. I want them to be able to network and rub elbows with the right people. And while you could go to an event that's in your specific niche, I think you're better off reaching higher. Like I said, I know of internet marketing events, one in Spain and one in England, happening this month. And I looked at my schedule and talked to the people who are hosting events and got a lot of the details, which I'll give you if you reach out to me via Facebook Messenger or whatever, and ask me what's going on in Spain or what's going on in England. Those are in my backyard. I'll tell you those things, but I want you to check out this one event that I will be at. And if you sign up based on my recommendation, so you need to use the link I gave you, um, my breakfasts and lunches are all already committed. They're part of the schedule because I'm one of the VIPs or DVs, but my evening meals aren't. And so if you're one of my people, uh, we can get together over dinner or after hours, and we can record a video or audio or both podcast. If you're working on a product and you need some more content to go on your product, you can interview me or I can interview you. We can record this. You roll it into a product that you're going to sell or even give away as a lead generator. We can do any of those things, but you need to coordinate those in advance. Again, the event is the 26th through the 28th of this month. I plan on arriving in town a day early and leaving a day late so that there is more opportunity for me to get together with people. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. And my big point is the reason most people who do product launches who fail or who are marginally successful, but their launch did 4 figures or 5 figures, so did tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands instead of millions, is they waited too late to start coordination, and then they reached out to people all wrong. They reached out to them in desperation. You can't do that. You need to reach out to people way in advance. You need to let them get to know you. You need to let them get to know your product in advance so they know what they're recommending. And from there, it's a no-brainer for them to promote you and your product if it fits in with what they already told you they normally promote to their audience, what their audience is interested in, and you've given them enough lead time, and you've let them see the product and see what it actually does and that it actually works for them to promote you and your product. So with that, I have run like 40 minutes. I've gone longer than I planned on going again. I'm going to ask you to share this on Facebook with your friends and followers after it takes like maybe 3 or 4 minutes before it's rendered, and then it's shareable all over social media. I'll ask you to do that as a favor to me, and that'll invoke the law of reciprocity, so I'll sort of owe you a favor too. With that, I thank you for tuning in. I committed to doing Facebook Lives every day, and I planned on them at the 11 o'clock Eastern time every day. And the reason I did that every day except Sunday, because Sunday I'm often at church during that time frame. I planned and locked in that time so that you can plan on tuning in and listening to me. And every day I will try to provide you with something of real value. I want to contribute to your lives. And those of you who have businesses, I want to help you with information that will grow your business. And so you can feel free actually to reach out to me, somebody with 23 years experience in business online, and say, hey, Willie, why don't you talk about this one day? I will do that, okay? And I see my friend Paul Guyon just joined. We're getting ready to wrap up, Paul, but the recording will be up and available to share in a few minutes. And with that, I do thank you all for tuning in. Again, check out the link I gave you. It's the only place that I know of where you are offered access to the event I'm sharing with you at what's essentially 1/3 of what the general public will be paying. And it's because it's being offered at that rate as a special favor only to me, okay? So again, I told the event host, I don't care about commissions, just let my people in. And he said, okay, if you don't care about the money, I won't either. So with that, thank you guys. And I'll see you on Monday at 11 o'clock Eastern. Take care.